1944. Operation Overlord, the Battle of Normandy. We helped prepare the way by destroying coastal installations. The Germans didn't know what hit them.
At number 1, it's
surprise
Sniper
only
Elite
lasts so long,
5,
and the
which
Germans are rallying
technically if
their
you've played
defenses.
previous Sniper Elite games, you already know if you're gonna like this one or not. However, if you do not know that yet, let me just say that it's an upgrade in every department compared to all the games in its series, albeit just a little shy from being an entire masterpiece. Like, stealth mechanics are pretty amazing in this game, the gameplay system is pretty impressive, and the AI is pretty good too. As always, Sniper Elite is great. Check it out.
Aphis was once a great city, but now it lies in ruins. Dangerous beasts roam the streets, and most people have lost their minds in hunger for stardust. But I am the Northwind Legion warrior. I am not afraid.
Coming up behind that, we have Asterigos, Curse of the Stars. This is, I would say, just a love child of Immortal Phoenix Rising from last year and a little bit of Kingdoms of Amalur combats. This is an amazing game with a lot of optimizations, a variety of gameplay and music, and just a ton of missions to go through and never get bored with. It's a tad Souls-like, not much like Elden Ring, but it is quite fun to play and right up there with Steel Rising and Thymesia, if not actually even better. Eight years in the making, Scorn at number 3 is single-handedly one of the most atmospheric horror games to this day. Although, it's not much of a horror game, the scary part is when you are engaged in combat is technically what makes it a horror game, but if you're craving some truly unique atmosphere you haven't been able to witness in a movie or any other video game, this is the one for you. Game's Microsoft exclusive, and if I had to say one bad thing about it, is just the frustrating gameplay. Otherwise, it is a great one. Sword and Fairy Together Forever came our way around August this year, and it is surprisingly one of the most solid PlayStation ports of a previous PC game. Well, if you're thinking you should give this one a shot on your PlayStation 5 console or not, just know that this is specifically for those of you who haven't played this one yet, something that if you've ever had hands on Dongho or just Wuha games is gonna be right up your alley. The game is beautiful, very addictive, and it's got a good replay value as well.
Evil is all around you!
Come on, let's kill these idiots!
At number 5, we have Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Technically a fantasy take on Borderlands and fine-tuned the old formula with a true port and everything that was addictive about the series' previous games. If you do like looter shooter, first-person shooters and RPG elements, you might actually want to be careful with this one as the game is addictive as hell. It is perhaps one of the longest games to finish and pretty packed with content for such a price. Take a look.
The Banshee!
Alright guys, now Stray on the other hand has been around for a few months and it's still the best thing Annapurna Interactive has ever come up with in its lifetime. This is a puzzle platforming adventure and frankly one of the most unique games out of any genre. I mean, not only in aesthetic and story, but the gameplay is just on a whole other level. Like, it's sitting on Steam with overwhelmingly positive review scores, which you get once every 10,000 games. If you do like cats, make sure to give this one a go.
Once the light of the kingdom, now it burns.
If you just can't get enough of action slasher stuff, like the old Devil May Cry games and whatever, Soulstice might be exactly what you're looking for if you haven't had hands-on just yet. It's pretty much that, albeit from modest games instead of Capcom, so regardless of the effort, it's just not as good as to what Capcom comes around with once every while, but it's a pretty large game and pretty fun to play and honestly just ruined by a pretty bad camera. Otherwise, the game's perfect.
Now it's my turn.
Gran Turismo 7 though, considering a lot of returning fans were pretty unhappy with it, I'd have to say it has to be one of the most visually advanced driving games for the past couple of decades. And it is, well, for those of you still yet to give it a shot, a pretty good modern mix of the original Gran Turismo with GT Sports competitive online stuff. This is not just a racing or driving game, it is a lot more than that. In my opinion, this is not only for racing games, it is for everybody, even if you hate cars. You can start with this one. like me and you do appreciate a good retro first-person shooter like the old Doom games, albeit with modern optimization options and a little bit more like Heretic, Prodeus is definitely something you should check out. It is an excellent game with some pure carnage gameplay and a high replay value as well. Prodeus, actually, besides what the eyes can see here, has been in early access for a really long time, and it is fine-tuned to perfection. Games for $25, games literally free.
Save us made me realize something. I was wrong before. Mia and I must survive.
Long story short, if you do or have ever enjoyed a Final Fantasy game, especially the later ones, Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin is precisely another new entry with the same stuff by Square Enix, albeit it is co-developed by Team Ninja, like it's a Souls-like RPG and just right somewhere between the old series games and mixed with Sekiro. Gameplay-wise, it's just very addictive, and regardless of the review scores out there, I gotta tell you guys, this is a very decent game in nature. So, you be the judge of that.
Attachments to this world will just make it harder to do our duty. It's a mercy to forget. Fighting's what I live for.
Did you defeat Tiamat? I am Sophia. Well met.
All I know now is that I want to see this through to the end.
Which makes us Warriors of Light, like in the prophecy.
I know you don't want to hear this.
Then don't say it.
No can do. This one's not like the rest.
You dare brandish your blade at the Kraken?
Between the Empire and the Alliance. However, one nation remained unaffected by the chaos.
Now, the DioField Chronicle was personally one of my favorite games of the year, if I had to be frank, and really just had the potential to be one of the greatest. As far as strategy RPGs do go, I think that this game does really deliver, or at least really tries, but occasionally only does hit that specific spot. If you're keen to Square Enix stuff, I would say you'd be really happy with this one no matter the case. Like, it's basically another tactical role-playing IP with a deep and tactical challenging real-time combat and some really interesting characters as well. Take a look.
Their aim is to break our lines, but we will stand firm to the bitter end.
JoJo の奇妙な冒険がスタイリッシュ対戦格闘ゲームで登場。時代も世代も超え、50名の戦士たちが集結するんです。
Next up, it is perhaps one of the best editions of its long-running series. At number 12, we have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R, with an insane amount of characters this time around and a lot of improvements over its 2013 version. Because once again, you'll be able to play the game both online and offline. Frankly, the online service is not that great, it still kind of needs work, but when it actually does come to replay value and just the diversity of its all, this game will keep you busy for a long time. For the least.
僕はできれば会いたくないですね。
スタンドのパワーを全開だ。
僕たちと同じ能力、スタンドです。ロハン先生、このディスクを抜き取られた人、動きが制限されてるみたいですよ。
行動を制限するスタンドか。僕のヘブンズドアーと似た能力なのか。
向かい風ってのは相葉が走るのを助けるためにあるんだ。
このゲームには馬に乗って戦う人たちも登場するんですよ。この人のスタンドも成長して姿が変わるみたいです。僕のエコーズと同じだ。オラオラオラオラオラ
ほう、これは取材のしがいがありそうだな。
今度はバトルを構成するシステムを紹介します。
It's just that you look very much like the person in the picture, Fräulein. Her name was Dana Rose.
Syberia: The World Before, on the other hand, had to be the best return of the series since the first Syberia game from all the way back. Graphically, to me, it had everything a point-and-click puzzle adventure had to offer, if not even more. Story and scenario-wise, this game actually holds up as one of the best games of 2022, regardless of the genre. And last but not least, the music is just so on point, once again, by the old composer and endure, and if you do like anything about point-and-click adventures, give this one a shot, even if you haven't played any previous game in the series. You will be really happy after.
Between Dana and Leon, I needed to be included, one way or another.
There's something sinister about all this.
My mission was to guide you and the rest of the expedition here, not to get involved in your harebrained research.
I don't think you understand the gravity of the situation.
We'd better leave the mountain soon, or we won't survive. Promise me you'll be very careful.
She left for an unknown destination. What happened, Dana? There must be a link between my mom and Dana, too.
By the way, what is your name?
Walker.
Alright guys, at number 14, we've got what's called Fobia Saint Dinfna Hotel, generally one of the greatest survival horror games of its own kind, with a very mystery nature and some truly amazing attention to details by these developers. If you like puzzle games, well, something you'd get the feeling of playing a Resident Evil game, and some haunting ground, then get to throw in a little bit of escape room stuff, you get exactly what you're looking for right here. Take a look.
This is more than just a job.
At number 15, we've got Hardspace Shipbreaker from all the way back May this year. This is a space sim, science fiction, physics-based single player, and probably just the best sim game overall ever since its release. Game's a pretty good blend of story-based, puzzle-solving, objective-based actions, and completely different from anything you've probably had hands on, period. Its identity is probably the strongest point of it, as it is very original, and the replay value here is on the roof. Check it out. Now, I do believe 3 years in the making, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is undoubtedly one of the best Turtles beat-em-up games that is ever made. It is just much better looking and fast-paced to any of all of its predecessors. Like, it's just exactly what the trailer here suggests, which is good old arcade beat-em-up style and now an 8-player co-op, and not to mention from one of the best retro developers of all time who also came up with Streets of Rage 4. If you've got room in your heart for one more pixel art game, you won't have to look any further than this. Now, play this one if you've ever played a MotoGP game, period. Like, MotoGP 22 is now one of the most polished biking sims, and it's got the style that is just great for both series' veterans and newcomers alike, with relatively new gameplay features and elements. It's pure nostalgia, although could use a little more speed and just be a tad more adrenaline pumping, but what it really lacks in that department, it does really make up in accuracy. It's so good that you will start liking bikes if you hated them so far.
I tell you, it takes a lot of rage to stare across 8 realms of hell, an ocean of demons, into the eyes of a red judge and still think, I'm coming for you.
And last but not least, from a little less than a month ago, even though it's been in its early access for a little extra, we have Metal Hellsinger, if not the best of all time, the second best rhythm-based game, period, let alone first-person shooters. Because if you do like anything about Doom or just metal bands music like me, this is the perfect game for you. It's quite hard to master though, it's got different difficulties for a little bit of an extra kick, and the music is just out of this world.